and welcome or welcome back. I hope that you're all doing well. Today we're here to talk about books, and you've probably noticed that I've been absent for a little bit, and that is because we had work done on the library and I had anticipated recording and posting the videos before the library closed so you could enjoy them while the library was closed. That didn't quite work out, and then I tried posting them after the library was closed, but the connection was just taking too long, so that didn't quite work out anyway. So we're going to do this a little differently than we had planned. I'm going to post this video and the video for A Fate Inked in Blood. I'm not sure which of those is going to get posted first, so you might be seeing this one after that one, but all the videos that I promised you for May will be posted in June, plus the videos for June. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about two books written by Minnesota authors. And the books are The Quarry Girls by Jess Lourey and There He Kept Her by Joshua Moehling. They're similar in that they both have the disappearance of young women in the plot, but there are some differences in the style and the point of view of the stories. So we'll start with The Quarry Girls by Jess Lourey. It takes place in St. Cloud, Minnesota in the year 1977. And as you'll read in the author's note, and if you're somebody who usually skips the author's notes, I suggest reading it this time. It's pretty interesting. As you'll read in that author's note, the book was inspired by the disappearance of Suzanne and Mary Reeker on Labor Day 1974 and other area crimes from the 1970s and early 1980s. And although it's tempting to talk about what happened to the sisters, I'm not going to do that here. But knowing about their story explained, for me at least, some of the choices that the author made in this story. So The Quarry Girls is not the same case as the Reeker sister disappearance, but it does share some of the elements of their story. So it's set in St. Cloud, Minnesota, 1977. Heather and Junie are sisters who live in the Pantown neighborhood of St. Cloud with their parents. Their father is the district attorney of Stearns County, which is the central Minnesota county that St. Cloud, well, part of St. Cloud, is located in. And since he is relatively new to his job, he is working late and he's absent from the house a lot. Their mother struggles with mental health, and it's not helped by her husband's absences from home. It's a struggle for her to get out of bed in the morning. It's often a struggle for her to prepare family meals. So Heather, as the oldest sister, tries to give Junie a more stable home. So she prepares the meals. She takes care of their mother. She takes care of Junie. She works very hard to shield Junie from their mother's struggles. Heather loves music, and she sees it as her future. She, along with two friends, have formed a band. And out of the three of them, Heather is the one who's most interested in the music. Brenda and Maureen are in it more for the fun. And of the three, Maureen has more experience with boyfriends. And Brenda and Heather have both noticed that lately Maureen has more spending cash and she's wearing more expensive jewelry than she has in the past, but they don't want to ask her about it because they don't want to pry. There's one more friend in their neighborhood, in their friend group. His name is Cloudy, and he is the across the street neighbor of Heather and Junie. This family really gives Heather's life a sense of stability and exposes her to a family that loves one another and enjoys spending time together. Dinners are always delicious, and Cloudy's mom often makes delicious snacks for the kids to enjoy. We should talk a little bit about the Pantown neighborhood. All the houses in that neighborhood were built to house the Pandolfo Car Company employees in the 1920s. And because the car company wanted their employees to make it to work even in the worst of weather, and In St. Cloud, you can get extreme cold. 20s below zero is not uncommon. The record there is like 36 degrees below zero, Fahrenheit we're talking. And they do get a fair amount of snow during the winter also. So the company wants the employees to be able to make it to work even in these adverse weather conditions. So they built a series of underground tunnels. Each house has a door in their basement that attaches to the tunnels. So if it's cold or there's a lot of snow, the employees could wake up, go to the basement, open the door to the tunnels, and just walk to work that way, so it would be more comfortable for them. By 1977, the car company is long gone, but the tunnels and the doors to them remain. Some families have boarded up those doors, but Heather's house still has the door to the tunnel intact. And the friend group likes to go in the tunnels and play a game very similar to hide and seek. So this one particular evening, all of the friends, Heather and Junie, Brenda and Cloudy, and they don't ask Maureen because in their opinion they think that that's too childish for Maureen. So the four of them head into the tunnels to play this game. And normally they stay in their own neighborhood, but this time they wander to further away tunnels. Keep in mind that the doors to the houses in the tunnels are always locked. So they're down there playing, and Junie reaches out and she turns one of the knobs on the door, and it's unlocked. So Cloudy pulls her back so that if someone is in the basement and they want to yell at them for coming into their house, Junie isn't the one who faces it. Brenda and Heather step in front of her, and Heather reaches out to close the door. And as she's closing the door, she and Brenda can see what's going on in the basement. And it is something so horrible that without even talking about it, they agree to never discuss it and never tell anybody. They are just going to keep this secret themselves and never talk about it again. But then someone disappears, and she isn't the only one. Heather is terrified. Who is responsible? No one knows. Heather wonders if it's the guys from the quarry who were partying or if it's somebody else. She needs answers, and she doesn't know who to trust. What can she do? She decides she's going to follow her father's methods, and she is going to look into this case herself, which leads to bigger questions. Is anyone who they seem to be? The Quarry Girls is involved. It's convoluted. It's atmospheric. The period it's set in was a time when mental illness was stigmatized and societal expectations were far different than they are today. And while the story was inspired by actual events, it's wise to remember that this is not the story of what actually happened. What you'll get are not answers to the actual case, but insight into the time period they occurred in and what it was like to live in an unstable home during a time where you're scared to go outside. Our other book is And There He Kept Her by Joshua Moehling. It's also a mystery thriller. This one is set in a fictional northern Minnesota rural community, Sandy Lake. It's the first of the Ben Packard series. As a child, Ben's family spent a lot of time at his grandfather's cabin in Sandy Lake. He's now a deputy, and since the death of a close friend in Minneapolis, he has relocated to Sandy Lake, and he tells himself it's a permanent move. But Sandy Lake doesn't hold only happy memories for him or his family. One Christmas, while they were staying at the cabin, his older brother Nick disappeared, and he hasn't been heard from since. Truthfully, while Ben is living in the area and working in the area, he figures he will have time to look into Nick's disappearance and see what he can find out. The sheriff of Sandy Lake is ill, and he has appointed Ben as the acting sheriff. A decision that is not all that popular with the citizens of Sandy Lake. Ben's cousin Susan calls him one morning because her daughter Jenny is missing. Jenny snuck out of the house overnight and hasn't been back. They meet at the office so Ben can get all of the details, and Ben tells Susan that he will find Jenny alive. Their family has experienced way too much pain, and he's not going to have his cousin experiencing that all over again. He walks Susan to the exit, and as he's coming back, he tells his coworker Kelly that Jenny is missing. And her response shocks Ben. I hope we don't have another one. Another what? So Kelly tells Ben about the disappearance of 2 other women from the area. And this time Ben discovers Jenny is not the only one missing. Her boyfriend Jesse is also missing. Later, Ben learns that Jesse has been selling drugs at school, and he took over that job from the person who was doing it the year before, who had graduated. There's a lot to look into, and as Ben investigates, it leads to someone more dangerous than they appear. But along the way, Ben discovers something even more important: himself, and maybe a better life ahead. Ben's story is just beginning. The second book in the series, Where the Dead Sleep, is already available, and we have it in the library system. And the third book, in which the author promises will shed even more light on Nick's disappearance, is expected to be published in February of 25. So honestly, I can't wait for it. Both of these books, The Quarry Girls and There He Kept Her, were well written. And There He Kept Her is told from multiple perspectives, but the main character is Ben, the acting sheriff. So you get more of a feel for small town Minnesota life and the things that people do. And since we're following someone who investigates crime, you get a feel for the politics of the job. If you're looking for a similar read, I'd suggest the William Kent Krueger Cork O'Connor series. The perspective in The Quarry Girls is Heather's perspective, and she is a young teen girl. You get the feel from this story of what it's like living in a community where you just don't feel safe. You don't know when you step out of the door if you're going to come back home, and living in a family that is dealing with challenges itself. As a reader, you feel the uncertainty and insecurity of Heather's life, but you also experience her inexhaustible hope for her future. For a similar read, I'm going to suggest Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and although they are different in many ways, you experience the small community feel in both of them. And there we are. I hope that you enjoyed this look at And There He Kept Her and The Quarry Girls, and I hope that you will join me again. Like I said, we have A Fate Inked in Blood by Daniel L. Jensen also going up very soon, and we've got a lot going on this summer. So the return of Explore and Create videos, June reads, and reviews. Thanks for dropping in with me today, and I hope that we will see you again soon. Bye.